The Lancaster Canal passes through some of the most beautiful and spectacular scenery of any canal in Britain, with views on a grand scale of the Pennines, the Lakeland Hills and across Morecambe Bay. It's been cut off from the rest of the canal system for its entire life, until the opening of the Millennium Ribble Link in 2002. As a result, it's culturally quite different from anywhere else on the system. It's populated almost entirely by highly polished, wide-beam cruisers that never go through locks. And naturally, there are some local anxieties about the changes that the link will bring. To understand why the canal was built, you first have to understand the position in the 18th century of the prosperous town and port of Lancaster. That prosperity had been built on commodities like sugar and, I'm afraid, on slavery. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and Lancaster Port found itself on the main line between Lancashire's industry and the Americas, and it was now handling goods like raw cotton coming in and manufactured goods going out. But transatlantic shipping got bigger. As ships grew in size, the navigational difficulties of the Lune estuary posed a real threat to the port. Meanwhile, Liverpool was growing in size and importance to the south. To remain competitive, the Lancaster merchants built a new docks here at Glasson, and they commissioned James Brindley to make a new survey for a canal. But the canal scheme did not attract enough support in the town, and the idea was dropped. Some 20 or so years later, in changed commercial circumstances, Rennie was asked to resurvey the canal idea. There were now two new factors in the equation. Limestone was needed for West Lancashire's agriculture, and coal for its growing industry. Rennie's proposed wide beam navigation ran from the limestone quarries around Kendal and Milnthorpe to the coalfields of West Houghton near Bolton, and there was to be a link to the new docks at Glasson. Construction started in 1792, but the project was dogged with financial difficulties right from the start. By the turn of the century, only the southern section from Walton Summit to Wigan and the middle section from Preston to Tewitfield had been completed, the two sections being linked by a temporary tramway. By 1826, the canal was through to Kendal and the branch to Glasson Dock was open. But those northern and southern sections never were joined together by water, and the temporary tramway continued. It crossed the River Ribble here at Avenham on a wooden trestle bridge, and that continued in operation until the last coal wagon rumbled across it in 1862. The bridge remained, and it served as a footbridge until Preston Corporation had it rebuilt as a replica in precast concrete in the 1960s. In 1979, John Whittaker, a member of the Lancaster Canal Boat Club, put forward the idea of a link via Savick Brook, the Ribble Estuary and the River Douglas to Tarleton on the Rufford branch of the Leeds and Liverpool. The Ribble Link Trust was formed in 1984 to promote the idea. A modified version of that original scheme was built as a Millennium Project, and the story of its construction is the subject of a completely separate video from Video Active. The Millennium Ribble Link was officially opened in 2002 by the then Minister for the Environment, Farming and Rural Affairs, Margaret Beckett. We had hoped to cruise to Tarleton, but 12 days ago a major breach occurred on the main line of the Leeds and Liverpool Canal at Parbold, completely cutting off access to the Rufford Arm and of course to the Millennium Ribble Link. Vaughan Jones was at the heart of BW's response to this problem. Vaughan, can you tell us what was the scale of this incident?
We actually lost something like 27 miles worth of water, so I wouldn't even guess at how many millions of gallons that must have been. That must certainly have felt like an earthquake as it was happening. It immediately affected 57 boats in total, all of which we hope we've now made arrangements to rescue. We are currently craning people around the breach from the two craneage sites that we have. Obviously our first priority was to get people home who were in the middle of their holidays or who had to get back to work or hospital appointments or whatever. And then if we can help people out with their holidays, we're very glad to do so, and that will involve in total some 80 boats.
I see. Vaughan, thank you very much indeed. In the run-up to our boat being craned, we had a number of calls from Vaughan as he managed this dynamic and difficult situation. He was always polite and always helpful. He told me he had had something like 400 phone calls, mostly with boaters who were patient and understanding, but some who were less so.